of this conference over the last 3 years. I think we started maybe 1,200 people the first year, 3,000 last year, and 5,000 this year. It's just incredible to see the participation of our customers, of our partners, and of our employees to make this thing happen. You know, these 3 days, what you'll go through these 3 days, hopefully you'll learn a lot, but I think for NetSuite, this really is about, from my perspective, the heroes that have made this whole thing happen. And I think there are 3 classes of heroes. You're going to hear a lot about heroes today, tomorrow, and the next day. And to me, the biggest group of heroes in my mind are our customers. People ask me what gets me up in the morning, what gets me excited, and it's really what all of you are doing with your companies. I have the best job in the world where I get to see all of these entrepreneurial minds working and executing and creating new things and changing the world, whether it's in a manufacturing company, a distribution company, a nonprofit company, a services company. It's amazing. In fact, last night I was talking to a bunch of customers, you know, getting the inspiration that I always get when I speak with them. And I noticed one thing that was common in them, because I always wondered, why isn't everyone on the planet using NetSuite? It's unbelievable. I don't know how you run a business without a product like NetSuite. And I figured it out last night. And that is, our customers are incredibly entrepreneurial. And what you find is entrepreneurialism isn't just constrained to small companies or medium companies or large companies. Entrepreneurialism is what drives innovation and what creates the next winner in every industry. You know, I talked to Raphael at the International Watch Company. Where's Raphael? Small company in Las Vegas. He's here somewhere. He's doing amazing things with custom configuration of watches, using NetSuite, Suite Commerce. Incredible vision of how to change that world. Jacob Jaber, I don't know if Jacob's here somewhere. I think the band had some of Jacob's products before we come up. This incredible Phil's coffee. This is like 8 shots of caffeine. So you think the coffee market is done, right? Starbucks, Peet's. This guy's completely reinventing what it is to be a coffee company. Incredibly successful company. Met with another company last night, Accuvant. Accuvant is a security software reseller, probably started with 60 seats of NetSuite, now has 600 seats of NetSuite. That doesn't happen by accident. It's this incredible entrepreneurial spirit that drives these companies of all sizes. And I'm going to have some companies come up later that are enormous. And the thing that you'll see about these companies is that they are entrepreneurs at heart. They're always innovating. And that's why not everyone uses NetSuite. Not every company is going to be the winner. Not every company is going to innovate. But the companies that use NetSuite are more likely than not to be the winner. And I think, interestingly enough, if you go back to the founding story of NetSuite, when I joined NetSuite, Evan had his slide deck, and the mission slide that Evan had was to help entrepreneurs succeed. And that's effectively what we're still doing today. It just turns out the definition of entrepreneurs is much bigger than a startup in Silicon Valley. So it's just amazing to hear your stories and how you're using NetSuite, and we're really proud to be a part of the things you're creating. The second group of heroes that I'd like to salute today are our partners. Our partners have just done amazing things. You look at last night at our partner meeting, we had 700 partners in that room. That's grown enormously. And you know, you look at companies like Accenture, Wipro, the guys that are our big sponsors here. There's a whole host of new partners that are coming on board. Evan's going to show you a lot of partner products tomorrow. We have a variety of new HCM, human capital management partners, Tribe HR, Ascentis, Insperity, Silk Road, a whole variety of new partners in that space. I'm going to talk about a new program in particular about to address the growing NetSuite ecosystem of partners. But this is another incredible group of heroes that we're going to talk about today. And the final group, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all of our 2,000 employees around the globe. The company's grown to be very large. I know there have been lots of 60-hour weeks, 80-hour weeks to make this happen. There's incredible participation in all the sessions that you're going to have, but our employees have done an amazing job, and they're as inspired as I am by the things that you're doing, and hopefully you get that out of today's and the week's sessions. Also, Evan's got this incredible presentation tomorrow. He said he was going to have a brain transplant because he has so many demos to do. You know, that there he is. The challenge with NetSuite, it's actually the challenge with my presentation today, is we have such an enormous product, it's hard to tell you about all the things we're doing in it. I've tried to whittle down what I'm going to tell you about today into 4 buckets. Evan's got about 20 buckets for his. And then Jim McGeever comes up Thursday morning. Now we have Cake, the band Cake, playing on Wednesday night. So, but if Jim McGeever can get up on Thursday morning to speak, you could all make his speech on Thursday morning as well. Jim's always the last guy at the party. So Jim's got some great things with partners and customers and awards and some future vision about where we're going with our larger customers. So great 3 days, great 3 keynotes, lots of sessions. Thank you all for participating. So we're a public company. Some of you may be shareholders. As usual in these presentations, I talk a little bit about the future. Sometimes what I say doesn't come true. Most of the time it does, but you know, you have to take what I say, especially as it pertains to the future, with a grain of salt. But the good news is we've had an incredible track record of predicting the future, and we're going to talk about 4 major buckets of innovation that we're doing today during my keynote. This is a good, let's talk about some of the statistics that sort of track our track record. If you look at our most recent quarter, incredible record quarter. 10 years ago, we were doing about 8.3 million in revenue, I think it is. Or no, 1.5 million, I'm sorry. Wasn't even close to 8.3. We've only grown 90 times here to 91 million. Q2, our outlook was we're projecting our first $100 million quarter, so that's incredible. But just a great, great quarter from a financial standpoint. For the year, analysts have us pegged at about 408 million. There was the 8.3 million. I knew it was there somewhere. That was what we did for the year in 2003, a decade ago. So you can see the incredible traction that we have in the marketplace, of course, driven by all the great things that you're doing. So those are NetSuite's numbers. Oh, other metrics that you're worried about, profitability. People say the cloud isn't profitable. It's quite profitable. This is our non-GAAP profitability. We back out of here our stock option expense, which is a non-cash charge. We take out acquisition costs, etc. And last year we generated $19.1 million of profitability to the bottom line. About even 3 years ago, 2009, it was 3.4 million. So we've had a great run here of running the business profitably. This year, our investors have been kind enough to allow us to invest back in the business, back in the product organization, back in the services organization, and we're going to maintain that profitability relatively close to where it is today. But we're investing heavily back into the business, and you'll definitely see that over the next 3 days with the products that are coming out of the pipeline. Another way to measure profitability is cash flow. Taking more cash in is better than sending more cash out. We generated $54.3 million of cash flow last year. That's another way to look at profitability. Incredible cash flow. And today, this is why we have the big screen. We have $190 million in the bank. This is a good place to be. We added 50 million to that last year, so the business is really clicking on all cylinders. You bet on the right platform. But it's not just our numbers that are saying the shift that is happening to the cloud and the shift that is happening to NetSuite. Gartner Group just released their most recent data on financial management systems and market share growth. And again, NetSuite was the top 49% growth over the last year in financial management systems. And that's all basically organic. There are no acquisitions driving that number. That's just pure growth. That's pretty amazing. And you look down at the graveyard of software to our right. You know, Sage somehow grew at 9%. I don't know how that happened. There must be a mistake in the math. Microsoft, I talked to a great partner last night, and he said they shouldn't call Microsoft dynamic, they should call Microsoft static. And that's basically pretty darn accurate. There's absolutely nothing going on in the Microsoft cloud, particularly in the ERP space. So these numbers are telling you what's going on here. And then you go all the way down to the right, SAP at -3%. So, you know, I hear SAP talking about being all in the cloud. We talked about heroes. To be a hero, you have to have an anti-hero. I think, you know, if we looked at SAP, they kind of fill that role very nicely at -3%. And so here's more data on what's going on in this shift to the cloud. So again, SAP is talking a lot about the cloud, but it's really, they're having their user group conference at the same time we are. It's really a tale of two user conferences. I'm going to actually spend a lot of time today introducing a new product that we've had in stealth mode for about 2 years, NetSuite for manufacturing. We're bringing manufacturing to the cloud. We're bringing our own product and partnerships that are transforming how manufacturing is done around the world. What is SAP talking about at their user conference? They're not talking about applications. They're not talking about manufacturing. They're talking about databases in the cloud. The one thing that I noticed last night when I talked to all of our customers, not a single one of you asked me for a database in the cloud. You ask me for new features and new application capabilities, no database in the cloud. So I think this is going to be a very telling week when you look at what's happening at NetSuite, the products we're delivering to our customers in the application space, and what SAP is doing. I think fighting a battle that was won by Oracle probably 20 years ago. But anyway, Barclays came out with data looking at exactly this phenomenon. They said, let's take HANA out of the equation. Let's take business intelligence out of the equation. What is SAP's core license business doing? And in Q1 of 2013, it shrank by 10%. What's NetSuite's license business doing? In Q1 of 2013, we grew by 28%. There's a massive shift going on from traditional on-premise applications to the NetSuite cloud. And so that brings me to the topics I want to talk about today. Last year we talked about one topic mostly, and that was Suite Commerce. I'm going to talk a bit more about Suite Commerce today. But there are really 4 buckets that we're having major innovation in the company that I'm going to speak about. And first of all is the suite, the core strategy of the company to build a system designed to run a business. The key message there, if you take home anything, it's winning and scaling. The second piece of the suite is really the Suite Cloud architecture. And Suite Cloud is as much a part of the suite as anything, but there's enormous innovation happening on the platform, happening on the Suite Cloud platform. The important thing about Suite Cloud for us is we think customization is one of the reasons you have chosen us. We've built a system designed to run a business. I don't know how to run a watch business. We probably have 90% of the functionality it takes to run a watch business, but it's that last mile that matters. It's that last mile that defines your business strategy, how you're different, and Suite Cloud is all about enabling that last mile. So new technology for enabling the last mile, and our partners are also helping enormously, perhaps to enable the last 2 miles, adding vertical functionality. So we have a new program particularly related to Suite Cloud and the uptake of Suite Cloud. Suite Commerce, again, a core part of the suite, launched it last year, enormously successful, but I believe, and we're going to have some customers on stage here to really point this out, Suite Commerce is defining the next platform for global commerce. We talk about it as e-commerce, but as you all know running your business, every company has to interact with their business customers, their consumer customers, in a modern, automated, website-driven way. And that's what Suite Commerce enables. You're going to see next-generation leaders, billion-dollar companies that are using Suite Commerce to enable the next-generation experience for global commerce here on stage today. And finally, when you build a system designed to run a business, the type of business you're running is incredibly important. And so today, I couldn't contain myself. I already announced NetSuite for manufacturing. We've got a great new version of the application. NetSuite is historically focused on outsourced manufacturing. That's changing today. After 2 years of development, we're now enabling people that actually make things to do it in a single cloud-based system called NetSuite. We also have great partnerships to announce around that are going to blow you away. So with that, let me start with the suite. So here they are on the boat, thinking big thoughts. Oops, can you go back? I got to have that picture. There we go. Larry and Evan, dreaming big dreams, really this idea of building a system designed to run a business. And I've never noticed this on this picture before. I use it all the time, but I've never seen it this huge. He's got his NetLedger hat on. This is exactly where the idea was spawned, on Larry's little 25-foot dinghy. But that same idea, that same notion, building a system to run a business, is the core idea that continues to drive our success and hopefully your success. We took that idea, initially designed it for what we call the Fortune 5 million, but what you're seeing change now is it's scaling not just the Fortune 5 million, but the Fortune 500. The original idea the boys had, let's get the power of these large enterprise systems and bring that power down to small and mid-sized companies. Evan was an entrepreneur, had run a small and mid-sized business. We all know, you all know, it's as hard to run a small or mid-sized business as it is to run an enormous enterprise. The challenges are the same, the pressures are the same. We wanted to build a system that brought the power of those enterprise systems down in a form factor and a price that mere mortals could afford and could use. This is the problem we set out to solve, the hairball that you're all familiar with, tying together one system to another to try to get a picture of your business. Evan and Larry started on the adventure and built this single system designed to run a business, the suite, exposed that single system to every user type, different UI for each user's CEO's view, different than a sales view, different than a support view. And of course, because it was built on the cloud, before it was called the cloud, you can extend it to your partners, your customers, your vendors. Suddenly you had a system, instead of building yet another system to expose your data to your customers and partners, you could use the same operational system that you were using internally. So incredible success with the suite. A funny thing happened on building that suite for small and mid-sized businesses. Large enterprises decided they wanted it. And the reason they wanted it was they wanted the agility that all of you have in running your business, to be able to turn the company on a dime, to be able to spin out new companies, spin out new innovations, particularly in these innovative companies, to get new growth happening in these companies. They wanted an agile platform to make that happen. And it turns out taking 3 years to implement your business system is not very agile. So these guys came to NetSuite for the agility of our product. And in particular, the problem that these large enterprises, you large enterprises face is how do you run a multinational business? How do you run a company with subsidiaries all over the planet, consolidating those subsidiaries in any sort of hierarchy that you'd like, and having a single view from my seat, from the CEO's seat, of what's going on in my global enterprise. This is what companies spend hundreds of millions, $200 million trying to solve. They still don't solve it. As you know, OneWorld does this magically. And OneWorld's been an enormous driver of our upmarket success. So local control of everything, global visibility of everything in OneWorld. So a huge number of companies, larger enterprises, and mid-sized companies have this problem as well, have now taken OneWorld and made it their own. And I'm really excited today to perhaps bring up one of the most well-known technology companies on the planet, one of the most respected companies when it comes to IT management and IT innovation, to talk a little bit about their use of NetSuite, Qualcomm. We have Norm Feldheim, the CIO of Qualcomm, with us today. Norm, come on up, make the long walk. Thank you for joining us, Norm. When we signed you as a customer, I told people probably before I was allowed to. And people in the know said, that's amazing.
I won't tell.
You have to tell today. That's amazing because Qualcomm is known as one of the finest IT organizations on the planet. So what you've done there has been amazing. You've been there almost since the start of Qualcomm, which is pretty amazing. So why don't you tell us a little bit, everybody knows who Qualcomm is, but tell us a little bit of the story of Qualcomm and your life at Qualcomm.
So I started at Qualcomm 25 years ago. Yeah, I don't know how that happened exactly. But when I started, there was about 100 people. I was the IT department at that time. We were barely doing 20 million in revenue. And we've been in a number of businesses since then, but our primary business has now turned into mobile phone chips. So we're the #1 mobile phone chip producer in the world. We did 20 billion last year in revenue and a little over 25,000 employees worldwide.
So I mean, this is exactly the type of innovative company I'm talking about. So 25 people, 20 million to what? 19 billion today. You told me an incredible story of the transformation of the company from a government contractor to the bet on chips, which huge bet. Maybe you could talk a little, I mean, that was just an amazing business story to me. Maybe tell me a little bit about the bet that you guys made, when you made it.
So we started off as a defense contractor, and then really we were about communications and signal processing. So we got into the trucking industry and selling communications and systems to the trucking industry. And then we looked at this communication protocol called CDMA that was actually used by the government, invented by Hedy Lamarr, the actress, back in the 30s.
Wow. And
we decided to commercialize that, took a big bet, and produced the first CDMA phone in the early, mid-90s, fit in the trunk of a car. It was that big. And since then, we really were the precursor and launched 3G cellular communications, commercialized that government protocol, encryption protocol, and now turned it into chips. We started off as a phone manufacturer. Why we thought we could produce phones, low-cost phones in La Jolla, California, I'm not exactly sure, but chips we can do pretty well, and we're doing hundreds of millions of chips a quarter now, and that's our primary business.
Well, you didn't have NetSuite for manufacturing then, so maybe that's why you couldn't do it. Just kidding. So, but no, I mean, that's just an amazing, so transformation into a phone company, then you transformed yourself again into a chip company. I mean, that's just amazing innovation, amazing entrepreneurialism within the company.
The company likes to switch. We consider ourselves very opportunistic as a company. We like to pursue businesses, get into new things, launch new products, get out of products that aren't being successful. So obviously we got into cell phones and decided that wasn't the right thing for us. We got and sold that business. So we're not big on, oh, this is the plan, we're going to go execute on that and stick to it, and that's it. It's, hey, we're going to go do this and try it out, and if it works, great, we'll grow it. If it doesn't, we'll get out of it and do something else.
It's amazing. I just love the story. So 25 years, 20 million to 19 billion, you've seen a ton of technology changes in that time, from being the only IT guy to running, I don't know how many thousands of IT people you must have now.
A lot. Over 1,000, that's for sure.
Over 1,000. You've seen us go from probably the end of the mainframe era to the mini computer era to the client server era to the cloud era. Maybe you can share your perspective on that.
Yeah, when I started at Qualcomm, we were an engineering company, always have been. The only thing they told me when I started my job that was going to get me fired was buying a mainframe. So that was not what we were about. But certainly I saw and worked with service bureaus that were offering computer services and application services to companies, dial-up lines essentially at that time. But we're now going back to the future and going back to the cloud, that same model. And for us, it's been really successful. We're a relatively early adopter of SaaS-based applications. We like that as a solution for our business. And for me, I see that trend continuing. And I'm starting to see even the security guys that I talk to saying, all right, this cloud thing is here to stay. We're going to have to deal with it. So it's a positive force and something that we think, and I think, is going to be a big changer of the industry. If I was Oracle and SAP, I'd be really worried.
I would, well, SAP probably. But no comment.
We didn't actually set that up.
So you're a NetSuite customer now, which is an incredible thing. Maybe you can talk a little bit. You've deployed NetSuite in a couple different ways. One we call two-tier ERP,
yep,
where you've got Oracle and you've got NetSuite running in conjunction, and then another in sort of this engine of innovation growth that you have at Qualcomm for startups and spin-offs and all these things. So maybe you can talk a little bit about your deployment of NetSuite.
So our first deployment of NetSuite, or one of the first deployments of NetSuite, was with our oldest division, and we had a new product in a new market that we were launching for that division. We already had Oracle in place, but naturally they didn't give us a whole lot of lead time on this product launch. So we had to do something. It was launched in Mexico, so this was a new market. We didn't really feel that Oracle was going to be the right product for us to launch, so we looked and said, we got to do this fast, we got to do it cheap. We don't know that we really need something as heavy as Oracle is. NetSuite seemed like the perfect fit, and it certainly was. We had it up and running very quickly. This was Mexico, and that's what that product and that market for us, for that division, is running on NetSuite. We hook it back into Oracle, feed the financials back to Oracle, and then feed that back into our financial systems. So it's been a really positive experience going from that.
Yeah.
We like that so much that we actually have an incubator, an internal incubator that Qualcomm runs called Qualcomm Labs, where we create startups, essentially launch new products. And there are small teams. We have people that compete, employees that compete for the honor to go launch an idea, they put a business case together, and they go launch new product lines. And NetSuite has been perfect for us to use for those new divisions. They're competing with other startups in the market, and NetSuite has been absolutely essential to the success of those businesses. And several of them have spun out of that incubator and into full stand-up divisions, still running on NetSuite within Qualcomm.
That's great, Norm. Well, it's really an honor to work with you guys. Thank you for showing all the other billion-dollar companies how it's done.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate it. Norm Feldheim, everyone. Thank you. Great stuff. So the suite, winning and scaling, incredible to have Norm on stage with us. It's sort of a dream come true for those of us at NetSuite that began this move of trying to enable larger companies to get the benefits of what we've built, and to see it deployed in the way it's been deployed and continues to be deployed at Qualcomm is just amazing, and we're very happy to be a part of what Norm and the team are creating there. Also in this large market space, you know, can't say enough about our partners in the systems integrator world. Accenture has been a great partner, in fact introduced us to Norm, and our relationship there continues to grow. We have some great new things, I think, coming down the pike with Accenture in terms of continuing and deepening relationship, but we'll hold those for another day. But Accenture has just been an amazing partner. Last year we announced Deloitte, and in particular Deloitte Digital, as a systems integrator partner. We're doing great things with Deloitte. The things they're doing with their Deloitte Digital division really fit nicely with what we're doing with Suite Commerce, and we have a number of joint customers now with Deloitte. And finally, last but not least, is Wipro. Wipro's been an amazing partner. We've done some very large-scale work with Wipro to date, and we're getting deeper as we speak around the partnership, around our go-to-market strategy together. So I know the Wipro team has been amazingly supportive of NetSuite. They have a division, a group. I have to be careful how I talk about systems integrators because things like groups and divisions are actually value-laden terms and I get slapped. But they have a group of people that are devoted to NetSuite within Wipro, and we're very excited about what we're going to be doing with them. And last but not least, we have another major announcement to make around new systems integrator partners, and we're really excited today to announce our alliance with Capgemini. Capgemini, this is a new partnership that we just created over the last week. It's been in process for a long time. We went to their partner conference, incredible momentum around Cap, around the cloud, and around NetSuite. A lot of joint opportunities going on with Capgemini right now, so I'm very excited to announce it. And Mary Neiman from Cap is here. There's Mary. Awesome, Mary. Thank you. Look forward to great things with Capgemini. So the next piece of the puzzle is Suite Cloud. And again, you really can't talk about NetSuite without talking about the customization platform. I believe it's why we win. And it's amazing. Not all SaaS applications were built with customization from the ground up. And in fact, I just heard Workday added, after 5 years of development, the ability to add a custom field to the system. If you're just adding customization into your application now, you have built your application improperly. What Evan and the team discovered very early on was that every customer was going to want to customize the system. And so we built into the first version, the second version of NetSuite, the ability not for us to customize the product, but for our customers to customize the product. It didn't require Evan, the world's greatest programmer, to go make changes. And in fact, that's what Evan didn't want, because he knew he would be inundated by 16,000 customers asking him for this, that, and the other thing. So we built this incredible architecture that allowed our customers to change how the system operated in simple ways and in very deep ways. This initial customization architecture is now developed into a full-blown development platform that we call Suite Cloud. It's been enormously successful, both in terms of the number of developers we have building on it today. So, you know, the idea, here's NetSuite. Suite Cloud allows you to extend it with a variety of technologies, and then our partners build Suite apps that run in our data center, upgrade when our products upgrade. We manage them, our partners build them. There's as if Evan and the team built them themselves. Incredible capabilities, and you see it in the partner pavilion. The huge 700 partners are doing exactly this. I know all of you are also masters at changing the system to map to your business processes. So an interesting evolution has happened as we've built this platform, and that is enormous numbers of developers are building on this platform. And in the case of NetSuite, what they're building are not random applications. They're building business-specific applications, things that enhance how you run your business. So we have 7,200 SDN partners today. In our 16,000 customers and subsidiaries and organizations using NetSuite today, we have more than 23,000 Suite apps installed today. So that means on average, our customers are installing or running in their applications 2 per instance of NetSuite. That's pretty darn big. And one of the things we've discovered as more and more of these Suite apps get developed and get installed together was that we needed a new framework to enable us to make sure that they played well together. Because while you may have tested them with NetSuite and how the functionality worked with NetSuite, when you installed OzLink for shipping and you installed eBizNet for warehouse management, more than likely those 2 products hadn't been tested against each other. And so today we're introducing a very important new program. It's the evolution of our Suite Cloud Developer Network called Built for NetSuite. This is a new set of standards, a new set of verification, a new set of best practices that enable us to ensure that your applications that you're building play well together in your NetSuite environment. So as we said, we have thousands of apps today. Our initial rollout of this is probably the top 40 applications that are built for NetSuite. You'll see a lot of them in the Partner Pavilion, but a very important next step to enabling the platform as a service model to work. First step, enable you to build those apps. This step, ensuring that all of these applications that are being developed around the globe play well together. That's what Built for NetSuite is all about. Third point today, and we're going back to last year a bit on this. I'm going to probably start a Fidel Castro-like rant about Suite Commerce. I'm very excited about what's going on with Suite Commerce. I know all of our customers are excited about it. This technology, while we talk about it as e-commerce, this is the future of ERP systems. Your ERP system should be your customer-facing operational system. NetSuite's the only application that allows that, regardless of channel. And we're very excited from having gone from launch last year of the next generation of Suite Commerce to the point at which we're at today, where we're announcing a $1 billion retailer using this as their next generation platform and actually having deployed it. So let me set the stage a little bit about what's going on with Suite Commerce. So for those of you that remember, and those of you that sell things or manufacture things, the world of how customers want to interact with you is changing. In the B2C world, it's not just about an e-commerce website anymore. It's about how does your application work on a tablet? How do customers interact with you on the phone? I'm ordering things on my phone. Point of sale. How do you tie together that experience? Not have 5 hairballs running your B2C experience, but have a single system that provides a common view to that customer. Most companies that sell B2C also sell and buy B2B. So how do you provide that same experience, an exciting experience, but now deal with all the vagaries of B2B businesses? It's not credit card transactions, it's terms-based selling, it's credit-based selling. How do you deal with that across your B2B market, whether it's selling to retail, interacting with manufacturers, etc. A whole other set of hairballs that most companies have to build to deal with that. And finally, the Internet of Things, machine-to-machine commerce, probably the most exciting area of commerce that's happening. How are you going to deal with that? How are you going to have your systems? We'll talk about manufacturing here in a bit, but people are building products designed for services. They're building in the ability for the machine, for the item to call back and request service and get service. How are you going to deal with that world? Are you going to build another set of business systems designed for machine-to-machine commerce? And this is way too simple. There are variations of these themes. There's machine-to-consumer processes. There's machine-to-business processes. So this is a simple picture of what customers are struggling with when it comes to how they transact business in the new world, in the world of cloud computing. And so last year we introduced the solution that solved that problem in a single system, and we called it Suite Commerce. So Suite Commerce enables you to interact with your customers through any business model, B2B, B2C, machine-to-machine, any touch point, tablet, phone, point of sale, with incredible customization and pixel-perfect presentation. And we also added to this picture last year a partner, Retail Anywhere, They'd built their product for NetSuite. They built it on NetSuite. We acquired them. And now we are the only cloud-based system that actually enables multi-channel selling. You know, most companies who are in the multi-channel commerce market say, oh, we're an omni-channel machine. The problem is their omni-channel machine doesn't deal with the 93% of commerce that happens at retail. Retail still turns out to be very important. And for those who think retail is dead, they're completely wrong. What made Apple was going to retail. So what's dead is the old approach of retail, where you have a set of retail systems over here that have no idea what's going on with the online commerce channel. What NetSuite's created in Suite Commerce is a system that recognizes the customer regardless of where they're interacting with you, at point of sale, online, tablet, offline, through machine. And incredible growth after launching this, 70% growth in Q1 just in our, what we call our retail vertical, companies that self-identify as e-tailers. This product's also used in every other one of our verticals. Distributors need to deal with B2C commerce. Manufacturers, we're going to talk about that, need to deal with B2B commerce. So this understates the acceleration of enabling you to transform your core operational ERP system into your customer-facing commerce system. And so while this was a big idea last year and people thought, well, that's a grand vision, but will anybody actually deploy that? Well, lo and behold, we have one of the world's greatest retailers joining us today, Williams-Sonoma, to talk about their deployment of exactly what I just discussed, Suite Commerce at retail, in the cloud, online. Very excited to have John Strain, the CIO of Williams-Sonoma, joining us here today. Welcome. Are you tired from that walk? I mean, it's a long way. He's a rugby player, though, so that's no problem. So it just didn't run me over here. So, John, welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. We're so excited to what you've done with NetSuite, not just what you've thought about doing. So, but before we start at the end, I want to get to the end, but we'll start at the beginning. I'm sure everyone here is familiar with Williams-Sonoma. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the company, its history, and your role there.
Yeah, you bet. So, Williams-Sonoma is about a $4 billion retailer. We operate in all three channels for us, e-commerce, stores, and catalog. We're about a 50-year-old company founded by a gentleman named Chuck Williams. He's our founder, chairman emeritus, still shows up. He's 90-something years old, shows up almost every day to check out things in the test kitchen and participate. Our brands include Williams-Sonoma, Pottery Barn Kids, Pottery Barn Teen, West Elm, Williams-Sonoma Home, Rejuvenation, and some others.
So that's an amazing list of brands. You know, if you've got a lot of companies running businesses out here, innovators, how do you, when Williams-Sonoma looks at innovation in the retail space, how do they look at it? How are you looking at it today with all the changes going on in that market?
Well, for us, a big part of what we've been trying to drive has been about growth. Our CEO, Laura Albert, took over about 3 years ago, and this has been her agenda, is how do we continue to drive? How do we innovate? How do we innovate in a host of different areas? Part of the story has been around acquisitions. We bought a little company called Rejuvenation out of Portland. They're a phenomenal little brand. We've also been looking at infill, starting new brands. This has been brands like Mark & Graham, which really focused on monogramming. It's been Williams-Sonoma Home. It's been West Elm Market, which is a little spin-off from our West Elm brand. And the third one is one we're really excited about too, which has been global, and looking at global growth and how do we go find that. We do this through essentially 3 different strategies. One is just on-site, leveraging what we have today to be able to ship through a partner called 51, and to be able to ship to something like 90 different countries worldwide. Second is we've gone with partnerships and franchise. Through the Middle East, we've got a partner called Al-Shai who does a really phenomenal job for us. And the one we're really excited about today, just recently, May 2nd, we launched our first company-owned and operated stores and websites in a holistic, multi-channel way in Australia. So we've gone there in Bondi Junctions where the stores are, but with that we did a full multi-channel, fully omni-channel enabled solution. I think we're going to put a press release out together here, Zach.
We did, yeah.
Which is really around, NetSuite is our core platform driving that, so we're super excited for what you and your team have done for us in that.
So that's amazing. So this is your the first time the company has gone outside of the US with company-owned stores in any time in your 50-year history.
That's right.
That's pretty
So
amazing.
for us, in a multi-channel way, it's great. We want for our customers in Australia, throughout the world, to be able to experience us in the same way our domestic channel does. which is that multi-channel store. Be able to see it in store, touch it, feel it, be able to sell through e-commerce and really make it come to life.
So let's talk a little bit. We have a sort of a diagram of what you guys actually, what we did together. It was amazing joint effort, and with NetSuite sitting at the heart of this in addition to your world. So effectively, you rolled out 4 brands, Williams-Sonoma, Pottery Barn Kids, West Elm, with 4 retail stores, 4 websites, all live May 2nd.
That's right.
Single system.
Single system, all together.
So we've talked before, and before you went to Williams-Sonoma, your entire career has been built on building commerce systems.
Absolutely.
You ever done anything like this before?
You know, certainly not in this time frame. It was a phenomenal journey, I think, to get to here. We're really excited to be able to make this launch happen as a one holistic solution, be able to bring it live, and it's been a phenomenal opportunity.
And it's amazing. These sites are super cool too. I mean, this is basically what the ERP system of the future looks like. I mean, it's amazing what you've been able to do and the creativity that you've been able to add here. Now, the other piece of commerce that nobody really gets, you get because you're a CIO of a commerce company, is all the stuff that has to happen on the back end.
Absolutely.
And so it's not just about the front end. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the back end implementation of NetSuite and the things that you had to do there.
Well, I think just the broader experience has been a real interesting one for us. How's it been? How's it been working with NetSuite? Well, for us, it's been a phenomenal engagement, sort of front to back, starting way up front with an RFP selection and a bake-off, and trying to figure out a strategy as to how do you go to market. Do you take your domestic sites, which we're really proud of, and be able to build those out and be able to deploy it that way? Or do you find a best-of-breed package set and do an on-prem solution that can scale for a multi-billion-dollar solution internationally? Or do you find almost, for us, we looked at it as retail in a box. And we went through that evolution. We ended up selecting NetSuite really to be our partner to help us drive that. And we did it for a couple of reasons. Part of it is the entire suite of ERP solutions that are available. Part of it really came down to the people. And for the most part, from the very first RFP, from the very first engagement, team showed up, they were professional, they were knowledgeable, they had all the street cred, they'd done it before. They brought a confidence and a competence that helped us to have confidence in taking this path go forward. And one of the things that really comes to show is when you get rubber meets the road. With a project like this, with this kind of complexity, scale, and timelines, really to be able to drive that. When the rubber meets the road, what you want to be able to do, and the best compliment I can give to any professional services organization is when it all came down in the last final hours, can I tell the difference? Right? Is my team versus your team? Who's pointing fingers at who? The reality was 4:30 in the morning, we're getting this thing launched. You couldn't tell the difference between a NetSuite person and a Williams-Sonoma person. That was, I think, brilliant. So it was the people side was one big thing. The second is really around functionality. As you get into it, because we have a fairly mature business, and because we've been doing this, something like 46% of our business comes from direct-to-consumer in our domestic business. So we're very mature in that context. We know the systems, we know back and forth. These things are very important to us. They're material in the way in which we deploy. So given that, we had to have something that was almost what they call pixel perfect. You need to have full functionality as we go out the door. So we couldn't go with a second tier, substandard type solution. In order to go out, we wanted to go out with everything. So in as much, I had to get the pixel perfect. I'm not sure we quite got the pixel perfect, but we got the pretty darn good. Right? Pixel pretty darn good, I think is the phrase that's been used. But it really has been phenomenal. It offers all the feature functionality, and in some areas, in fact, the NetSuite solution is better than what we have domestically from a feature function standpoint, and that's great. And the third piece for me as a CIO has really been around the technology. And from a technology standpoint, we hold ourselves to a very high standard. Internet retailer would call us out and our websites out as one of the most stable, best performing websites in the top 25. So we come with that as kind of almost an expectation set. And so this is something that we pushed very hard on NetSuite to ensure that we were going to have that same standard. And frankly, I would tell you all have exceeded our expectations to date. We're thrilled with what it looks like. And I think the last piece in terms of making this decision and going this route has been a bit about the time to market and the risk mitigation. For us, from a risk mitigation standpoint, I didn't have to worry about any of the hardware. I didn't have to worry about security. I didn't have to worry about patching. I didn't have to worry about all this stuff effectively taken care of through the scope of the ERP suite. And in being able to do that, that let us go focus on some other areas. And I think besides that, when we had compared this out, to take your domestic platform and take that international, global, versus what we're doing here, it was a 3-year cycle is what we thought it would be, plus or minus. We ended up getting live in something less than a year, closer to 10 months for the full suite. And the e-commerce piece, it only took us about 3 months to get up and running. So it was a phenomenal exercise front to back.
Well, we're incredibly honored to have you as a customer. You have an incredible reputation, obviously, in the e-commerce space, thanks to your leadership. And so they've been tough to match the things that they do domestically. It's pushed us, pushed our team, but it's done nothing but make us better. And you'll be happy to know you're a customer of ours. Natalie Forsyth, who runs our marketing in Australia, also was at your opening, bought a couch. So NetSuite's officially a customer of Williams-Sonoma.
God bless her, yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks very much. John Strain, everyone. Fantastic. So there you see another set of innovators. You know, Chuck Williams started this thing in '56, still involved. That culture's still alive in John Strain, taking a risk on a brand new architecture to make this happen. And you know, I was going to do a little poll at the end. Did it take 3 decades? Did it take 3 years? Did it take 3 months? It took 3 months, right? I mean, this, look at this, you know, purchasing, receiving, 4-brand, website, point of sale, live, 3 months. Nobody can do this. This is a fundamental change in the marketplace today. So while SAP is talking about databases, I think this is something customers are a little more interested in, trying to figure out how they transform their business with this kind of technology. And again, thank you, John, for being a leader in making this happen. So finally, all this stuff is really about the suite. These are all elements of NetSuite, but I wanted to focus on a few very high points, newsworthy points, for you to get a feeling for just the traction, the diversity of use of the product. And that's the other thing that struck me about my dinner last night is everybody's using this product in very different ways. There's no such thing as a cookie cutter use of NetSuite because every one of your businesses is different. And so we focused very hard as a company looking at the large groups of users in our customer base to begin to add core functionality to help you automate your business even more efficiently, help you scale your business as you get larger. As you go from 8 users to 80 users, you need deeper, broader functionality. And so Suites for Industries has been an enormous area of focus, and today we're going to announce what I think is the last industry that's preparing to move to the cloud. And we are getting to that marketplace at the right point, at the right time, at the right product, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit to close out here. So in the audience today we have lots of distributors, the heroes that sell things around the planet, the people that make goods move all over the world. It's always been a very large industry segment for us because we build a product to handle complex businesses and we delivered it on the cloud. Turns out distributors very early on said, I'm not worried about the security of that system. I need a product to run a distribution business because I have shipping here, I have salespeople there. I want a system that I can access from anywhere on the planet. No, by the way, it's really hard to run a distribution business. I have inventory, I have all this complexity. I need a rich system to do that. Distributors were our first large industry segment. And we continue to grow heavily in that space. We grew 36% in the last fiscal year on the revenue side. It's faster than our overall growth of the business. So distribution continues to be a very strong driver. So for all the distributors in the house, it's a good thing. Here's a small list of those distributors. And for those of you that think it's easy to do this, just look at this small list of features that you need to run a distribution business. So these aren't database features, by the way. These are actual application features that you need. Yeah, there's a database underneath it, but who cares what it is, right? All of our distributors want to see these types of features. If I talk to them about databases, they walk out of the room on me. So incredible effort, large teams building these products. Evan's going to talk a lot about the features tomorrow. Evan's going to cover a lot of technology in these areas. So people that sell things, how about people that sell time? Right? There are a lot of you that have time-based businesses. That was our second large industry group to take off. And for many of the same reasons that distributors went to NetSuite, services companies came to NetSuite because the fact that we had a rich application that you could access anytime, anywhere was exactly the way a modern services company wanted to function. You wanted to have people out in the field. You wanted to have them on oil rigs. You wanted to have them all over the planet. You wanted to have them on Mars typing in the time that they were billing to clients. NetSuite was the only system that enabled that. So if you look at distributors, it's probably our largest number of customers by count. If you look at services companies, these are probably our largest customer size by number of users. There are lots of services people out there. This business in Q1 grew 61%. So incredible growth in the services sector. And again, I'm going to put up great customers, awesome customers up here. But more importantly, again, not database features, application features. This is only a partial list of what you need to run a services business. So databases in the cloud, applications in the cloud. I don't know if I've said this yet today. Incredible difference in terms of what's being built here and the problems being solved. Great traction there. More tomorrow. Evan has a very large section of his presentation tomorrow on many of the things we're doing in the services area. The open air product has got some incredible new technology coming out, and you'll be seeing some of that tomorrow. Interestingly enough, what the cloud is fundamentally transforming is the fact that services companies are becoming product companies and product companies are becoming service companies. And there are very few products in the world that can deal with how do I manage product and how do I manage services-based sales. NetSuite, because of our first two industry groups, distributors and services companies, has it in a single solution. This has been an enormous boon to us and to our customers, because talked a little bit about how you're starting to build service functionality into your products. Services companies want to add products for higher margin business, so you need a system that can manage both of those things. And in this area, 78% revenue growth in the first quarter in companies that have these attributes, so even faster growing. And I think this is a reflection of where the world is going. Products and services companies are becoming the same type of company. Lots of companies here. You see lots of technology companies in this world. Talked to Accuvent last night. They're a big user of NetSuite, a big user of OpenAir, probably something like 600 users overall. Exactly the type of company that you're talking about. You've seen all the features that you need to do this. That was the first slide for distributors and the first slide for services. The big thing that you really need here is something that we've been rolling out for the past year and will be complete this year. And that is when you're selling products and selling services, how do you bill for all those things, right? Product billing is a one-time bill. A services bill could be maintenance. You also have new types of services like subscription billing and usage billing. Are you going to buy 4 billing systems to generate 4 invoices to your single customer so they can pay you? No, that's going to be a horrible customer. Talk about a terrible CRM experience. Get 4 invoices from one company for 4 different products, right? And that's effectively what people have been hamstrung to do. Have one product for product billing, one product for time-based billing, one product for usage billing, one product for subscription billing. And oh, by the way, once you make those bills, you have to recognize that revenue differently for each of those. So billing is just one step of a 4-step process. It's very hard to pull billing out and say, I'm going to generate my bills out of one system and have my financials be in another system. Not going to work. So our view of the world is that you need a unified billing engine that can handle product-based billing, that can handle service-based billing, time-based billing, milestone billing, the types of things that you do when you're selling time, and also new forms of subscription billing and usage-based billing. And so we have introduced, over the last year, usage-based billing. Lots of large companies using that. We have our subscription-based billing engine. But the important takeaway here is NetSuite is going to have a single engine that does all of these things. So you can have a single invoice to your customer delivered using Suite Commerce across any channel. You can print it out and send it to your customer. You can present it on your beautiful NetSuite Suite Commerce website. You can send it to their tablet. All of these elements. This is the next big milestone in dealing with companies that sell things and sell time, which is basically almost every company on the planet today. And you're going to see you're going to see this tomorrow in Evan's keynote. So that's great. We got people that sell things, people that sell time. We have people that sell things and time. Today we're here to announce, I think, the final industry to move to the cloud, a very complex industry, a product that we've really been working on in stealth for 2 years, and that is for people that make things, manufacturing. Today we're announcing NetSuite for manufacturing. Many of you have used NetSuite's manufacturing capabilities, but historically they've only been designed for outsourced manufacturing, when someone else is making the product for you. So we have lots of customers doing that. Great next generation manufacturers, companies like Jawbone, GoPro, all of these types of companies, billion-dollar companies built on NetSuite, and clearly they're manufacturers. But there's a whole sea change coming in manufacturing. There are new capabilities. This changing, not everything's going to be outsourced manufacturing anymore. You see people coming back onshore now to manufacture, driven by new capabilities like 3D printing, like direct-to-consumer manufacturing, actually going from design to consumer and consumer to design in a single system. Very important areas. And that's going to drive and is driving new approaches and new partnerships, and that's what I'm going to close on today, are some of those new approaches and new partnerships. So you think it's hard to run a business? It's really hard to run a manufacturing business because it's incredibly complex to build products. You need a whole hodgepodge of systems to manage the shop floor, to manage the supply chain, to manage the shipping, all of those things. And then, of course, They need to be tied into your core business systems, like your financials, like your CRM system, so you can account for it, so you can sell it, so you can take returns. And so we like to talk about hairballs here. The reason manufacturing is the last area to fall is this is the hairball on steroids, gigantic. The other thing you see about manufacturers is that they tend to be global very quickly. So you don't just have one hairball. You've got your manufacturing facility in Asia. You've got your manufacturing facility in the US. So you remember our One World presentation. You multiply this a little bit when you start looking at the complexity of dealing with manufacturing in a global environment. So that's part one of the problem. But it doesn't stop there. It gets more complicated. It's not just you that's involved in building products. You have two sides to this equation that you also have to interface your manufacturing organizations with. Your suppliers, which are all over the planet, supplying your operations, manufacturing in Singapore, in the US, in the UK. So how are you going to deal with all of that input and the interaction between what you need and what your suppliers are going to give you and arbitraging that and so forth? Then how do you get those products to the marketplace? The suite commerce challenge that we've talked about, right? How do you deliver B2C, B2B, through your distribution channel, direct to consumers, or build into your machines that you're building serviceability from day one? So this is the problem that the cloud is transforming today, and this is what we've built over the last 2 years, NetSuite for Manufacturing, to solve. So there it is. Talk a little bit about it. So great new functionality for not just outsourced manufacturers, but people that actually build the stuff themselves. Shop floor control, routing, scheduling, all of those types of things that you need on the shop floor. Operations control, how are you managing transfers between your build sites, development sites, sort of like One World for manufacturers. WIP, work in progress, a whole host of new features that have just come out in our 13.1 release, designed now not for outsourced manufacturing, but for insourced manufacturing. And of course, all of this is a part of the larger suite. Comes with the financials, so you know the financial impact of all this manufacturing, comes with all the CRM capabilities, and as importantly, it comes built in with Suite Commerce. So Suite Commerce obviously solves your problem on the, I've built a product, now I'm going to sell it through a channel. The other application of Suite Commerce that you'll see coming over the next year is using Suite Commerce as a vendor and supply chain portal to manage the supply side of your world. So this architecture applies not just to how you're distributing products, but now how you're acquiring products. And that vendor capability, that supply chain capability, will be coming out in the next year. So Suite Commerce is a wrapper that applies to both how you sell and how you buy. So, and it's not just about us. This is very complex stuff. And we're very excited today to announce a partnership with Autodesk. Autodesk, you all know, great leader in design technology, incredible company. I'm going to bring up Buzz Cross to talk a little bit about what Autodesk is doing on their own and what we're doing together in the manufacturing space. So Buzz? Buzz, great to have you.
Thank you.
Welcome here. Let me give you that.
Thank you.
You're going to take control. So really excited to have you. I mean, just look at these, you know, Qualcomm, Williams-Sonoma, Autodesk, just incredible.
Thanks for asking
group of
us.
partners. Thanks so much for joining us. I was so blown away when I went to your customer visit center. They have this incredible customer visit center in San Francisco, and it's just amazing the array of products being designed with Autodesk technology. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your strategy, your products. It's
Sure.
really a mind-blowing array of things that customers are doing with your products.
Okay, we'll do. So first, a little about the company. We're about 7,000 employees. About $2.3 billion in revenue was our revenue last year. I think the best way to tell the story is, like you said, what our customers do. So I have a little video that shows you some of our things our customers do. So let's just run that.
amazing what you guys do.
Customers do fun stuff, no question.
Absolutely. I want to be Autodesk when I grow up.
Okay, shall I jump
take
right in?
it away a little bit. Take
So let me just tell you a little bit more about Autodesk. You know, we started during the PC revolution. We were the ones who came up with the first real product for CAD for the PC. But I'll tell you, since then, we've reinvented ourselves. Today, it's all about the cloud. In fact, the video you just saw, almost everything in there was based on a cloud-based product. Turns out the cloud is perfect for heavy-duty applications like engineering applications. Now, we don't just do design tools. We do design tools, we do simulation tools, we make management tools for customers, and we also make manufacturing tools where you actually machine things. Now, let me tell you about a little bit of our industries. Again, I have some pictures of our industries. Okay, so we have 3 different industries we're in. The first is architecture, engineering, and construction. Okay, they use a technique called building information modeling, where you model a building rather than make drawings of a building. So architects and construction companies use it to make large-scale projects like this. Okay, we also are in the film and game business. So if you play a PlayStation game, if you go see a movie that won an Academy Award, it was typically made with Autodesk software. Okay, so this happens to be character simulation, which is a very big thing for them. So we do both 3D and 2D special effects editing as well. Now, the part I enjoy the most is manufacturing. That's what I'm responsible for. So, of course, my people don't stamp out discs. What we do is we write software specifically for manufacturing companies. So they design large-scale systems like this, but it could be other things like toys, automobiles. We have a wide variety of industries that we serve in manufacturing itself. Now, what we try to do with our customers is what we call digital prototyping. So the idea is a really simple one. We want our customers to be able to know everything about their product before they make it. So digitally prototype it rather than physically prototype it. We firmly believe you can simulate, test, visualize, and know everything about your product before you actually ever produce it.
That's awesome. We're going to see that in a second. But one of the other important things we're announcing today, in addition to the broader strategic alliance, is the actual integration of 2 of our products to enable the next generation of manufacturers to take advantage of all of your technologies and all of our technologies. And that's the integration of your new PLM 360 product with NetSuite for manufacturers. So awesome. We're going to see an awesome demo in a second, but maybe you can talk a little bit about PLM.
So let me just give you a little bit of background about PLM. Okay, so if you don't know what PLM, it's Product Lifecycle Management. It's designed to let you do everything about a product, to manage the entire lifecycle, to do the conceptual work, or maybe an artist is the person doing the conceptual work and the design. For the engineering, where you actually design the product and get the detailed specs down to it. You simulate it, so you test where it's going to fail. You'll see that part actually in the demo. We're going to simulate how the product actually will behave. And then, of course, you manage the life cycle after you produce it. If there's change requirements for it, if there's any corrective actions you might have to produce, that's part of our PLM 360 product, which we've integrated into the NetSuite tool. It's a pure web-based environment, so dramatically different than anything that's ever been done before in the PLM world.
That's awesome. So before we bring the guys up for a demo, let me just sort of summarize. So some of the other things we're going to see here are your Fusion 360 product.
You bet.
And I think that you're going to be blown away by this. This is your first design product that is in the cloud.
Sure, it's actually the first design product ever in the cloud. Okay, so it's an incredible difference. It's going to come out to market in June. So we're very excited about that tool. Fantastic. Let me just contrast a little bit about the old way. You know, PLM, I think the old way was big server, heavy iron, took millions of dollars and at least 3 years to implement. With the cloud, we've been able to break through that barrier. Customers can implement it in days. In fact, we've never had a system take more than 4 days to implement. The integration with NetSuite, I think, makes a big difference for both of our customers, and we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think in closing, I think one of the interesting... So when I first started at NetSuite, people said, oh, there'll be some applications that won't ever move to the cloud. And I'd try to agree with that. And I'd say, yeah, I suppose something like AutoCAD or Autodesk will never move to the cloud because you want all that processing power near you. But it turns out you can actually get a lot more processing power than you ever could in the cloud.
And there are so much benefits, and when teams design, individuals don't design. So the benefits of the cloud are enormous by themselves.
Right, especially when you're running these gigantic simulations. So you talk about business transformations. You know, Autodesk is going to go through similar business transformations where you're obviously leasing your products on subscription.
Exactly.
So instead of, you know, BMW going and buying a room this size full of servers to run their simulations, they're going to come to your world and do it there and go away. So
the business model will be very different for the customers in terms of how they monetize it and pay
business
for it.
model is very different. I think you're going to see that today. I think the combination of what we're doing with NetSuite for manufacturers, PLM 360, Fusion 360 are going to give you an idea of how radically manufacturing is going to be changed. So Buzz, really exciting to work with you and your team. We're going to bring up the boys now for a demo of exactly these products actually working together in the cloud, transforming manufacturing. Gavin Davidson, Brian Rebke. Everybody, thanks, Buzz.
Good morning, I'm Gavin Davidson, and I'm the vertical expert for manufacturing at NetSuite.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Rebke with Autodesk, and I manage our product lifecycle management product, PLM 360.
Brian and I are going to take you through a quick demonstration of the benefits of our new partnership and the seamless collaboration between design and manufacturing that it enables. AutoSuite Grills is a fictitious manufacturer of lifestyle products for the home. As brand manager, I'm responsible for a range of barbecues that are sold both through distributors and direct to consumers through our NetSuite SuiteCommerce web store, autosuitegrills.com, that you can see here. This barbecue has been our top-selling item since it was introduced in 2005. But we're seeing a lot of competition recently, so we've been offering free shipping to try and maintain sales. Taking a look at the item, when we first introduced this item, we always got rave reviews from customers, but it seems that slipped a little bit. Let's have a look at some of the reviews. And so Jessica here is saying that she's thanking us for the free shipping, but she doesn't really like anything else about the product. So there's consistent feedback here about design, weight, uneven cooking, and general quality of the product. Fortunately, NetSuite gives me all the information I need to run the business. From a sales side, you can see that our sales are actually consistent or a little bit up over last year. But I'm also tracking average cost. And there's been a $20 increase since last June until now. So on the one hand, our free shipping promotion has really been helping with sales, but it's not doing much for my margins. So let's go and have a look then at the actual item that we're working with today. And if you look at the bill of materials, the main body of the barbecue is actually made out of cast iron. So that's the reason it's so heavy and costing us so much to go and ship. So I think we need to look at redesign. For that, I'm going to use one of my favorite new features in NetSuite, which is Suite Social. And then I can then just go and use the @ sign to go and tag other employees, in this case Brian, and then go and send him a message. This will show up in his dashboard, or you can get an email. Say, Brian, I think we should go and redesign this item. Again, I can then go and reference the actual item that we're talking about. And so there's a cross-reference between the message and the item too. And with that, it's over to you, Brian.
Thanks, Gavin. So now that Gavin has told me that I need to start to redesign the next generation of this barbecue, I'm going to show you a little bit of PLM 360. So PLM 360 has everything that I need to manage the entire product development cycle from start to finish. And as we take a look and drill in a little bit here from the bill of materials, first thing that you'll notice is the bill of materials in PLM 360 is exactly like that of the one in NetSuite, because they're bidirectionally integrated, but giving me an engineer's view of what I need to develop this. We also have some really critical information pulled in from ERP that I need to understand to make this next generation grill. Things like from the engineering side, I have my weight, but from the ERP side, I have things like the current preferred vendors, and I also have the current cost that we're making up all the components of this, so I can understand what challenges I'm up against and make better decisions in the design. So as we transition to the next set here, you're going to see Fusion 360 that we talked about. So Fusion 360 is the first design tool powered by the cloud, and its backend is driven from PLM 360. So that means the power of the integration between NetSuite and PLM 360 translates into the design tools. So what we're doing here is we're holding a competition with the crowd. So we're leveraging a new trend in manufacturing of crowdsourcing or open design to leverage innovation from people that we don't have within our organization but outside. And Fusion 360 is the perfect tool for being able to leverage that because it's driven by the cloud. So what the community has come up with is 3 different designs and distinct characteristics that make up the different grills. And what we can do is choose from these and understand what our next generation of products is going to look like. Now keep in mind, each one of these is going to have a different bill of materials, a different set of characteristics for manufacturing, and in turn, different things that I'm going to need to do to produce these. So with that, we need to decide which one of these is the best one. So Gavin?
So we decided to hold an online contest for customers. And so we take the rendered images from Autodesk, we upload those to a special page on our website, and then we encourage our customers to come and vote in the design that they like the best. Of course, we also might include feedback from focus groups or social media campaigns. But it's pretty clear from here, as you can see, that the red barbecue in the middle, design number 2, is the one that they want, with 52% of the vote. So Brian, I think it's back to you.
That's great. So leveraging something like crowdsourcing and voting on that design helps us better connect with our customers and understand what we want to produce. But now we need to make sure that we build this right the first time. So like Buzz was talking about, digital prototyping, this is going to help us deliver the right product the right time first. So here we see a set of photorealistic renderings that we've done from the 3D model. These are going to be sent directly to the e-store so we can start to take orders for this design before it's ever manufactured. And then here, we see a simulation of how the air is going to flow within the grill, producing either the hot and the cold spots within our design. Now, what we can do, leveraging the power of the cloud, is we can run a lot of optimizations, ensure that we reduce those hot spots or eliminate them, and make sure that we have an even cooking temperature and avoid those complaints about the hot spots like we had in our previous generation. Now, finally, to start to optimize my cost, I'm going to connect with my vendors. So I've submitted a few RFQs through PLM 360 that allow me to start to get bids and monitor the results of those bids real time. So you see in my chart, I have a little baseline, and that baseline is showing that a few different bids are coming in at the right cost quantity breakdowns to allow me to hit my cost objectives. Now with this, we can award the bid directly to contract manufacturer, deliver the information they need to manufacture those parts, and we can start to release this back into NetSuite and produce and run our production of this. A change management process is a really important part of making your manufacturing products done right the first time. Tied into NetSuite, we can instantly grab the on-hand inventory, the on-hand average cost of that, and understand the total impact of the design changes so we can better plan things like effectivities of the bill of materials and the components as we put those into production. Now that bidirectional integration as well, of course, as we release this through the engineering process, those will automatically get pushed to NetSuite so we can start to manufacture and do all the different processes inside of NetSuite that help us produce the physical parts.
So again, the real-time integration has now created or updated the components and vendors that are required and that Brian specified during the design process. So I can begin purchasing immediately from my order items list. From a manufacturing perspective, I can also keep in track of outstanding action items. I also have my work center list, so I can monitor loading by work center now. And I also have a list of work orders and also their priorities. And you can see that we're actually already in production. On the work order, it's easy to track the status. We're already in process, along with the scheduled start and end date, the quantity that we're going to make, how many we've built so far, and any scrap. We managed to reuse a lot of the components from the previous design, but there is one item, one of the new items, that looks like we're in a back order situation, but I can easily rectify that right from this screen by placing a special purchase order on our preferred vendor. On the Operations tab, then I can also go and see the actual steps we're going to go through, the assigned work center, and how many have been completed through each step so far. So if you go and take a look at the actual item record, we now also have a 3D preview on the item record of what this should look like when it's done. And this new design should already be available on our web store, but it looks like we forgot to publish this out already. Fortunately, with NetSuite Suite Commerce site, it's easy. I can just go and check the box to go and push this out to my store. And then when I hit save, it will automatically be pushed out to the new site, as you can see here. And it's ready for sale, so we can take orders. Of course, in many cases, we can actually take pre-orders when we're in the final design process, even before we've gone through a complete manufacturing cycle. So in the last 10 minutes, we've shown you how NetSuite and Autodesk can go from customer feedback through a collaborative redesign process to a product that you can experience and sell before it's real. So it's time to get grilling, but of course, with a nice barbecue like that, we want to look nice when we're grilling, so we can wear our nice new AutoSuite grill aprons that Brian and I have, and we also have one for Zach.
Awesome. Just what I need. Awesome. Great job, guys. Fantastic. Love it.
Very nice.
Goes with my suit, actually.
I think so.
Great job. Awesome. So there you saw it. I mean, amazing new capabilities, only available through the cloud, only available through innovation that you find in things like NetSuite for manufacturers, PLM 360, Fusion 360 is amazing. Everything is moving to the cloud. The last industry to move to the cloud is manufacturing, and it's moving there fast. To prove it to you, we actually have found a manufacturer in the wild, a NetSuite customer also using PLM 360. And so to close, I'd just like to get his viewpoints. Martin Camelback, Director of IT at Memjet. Martin. Thanks for joining us. Awesome to already have our first customer on this new innovation. Memjet, amazing company. You've got an incredible background. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Memjet? Tell us also about your background, because I think it's kind of important to the change we're seeing from on-premise manufacturing to cloud-based manufacturing.
Certainly. So Memjet was founded in 2002 based on the technology for creating high-speed color printing technology. We actually developed high-speed office printers, as well as label print engines and wide format print engines for both the OEM and direct sales channels. My background is actually formerly a consultant for Accenture and Deloitte implementing SAP. So I can tell you that working with NetSuite is a lot easier, and certainly working with PLM 360 is a lot easier than having to support a large system like SAP.
So the cool thing, I mean, these things that you make, these printer heads, are incredibly complex. What's the bill of materials on something like that?
We have thousands of components that actually go into one of our print engines. We have actually an extended design ecosystem, not only with engineers in Australia, but engineers in San Diego, Boise, Idaho, but also contract manufacturers in Singapore, Malaysia, and China.
And how many employees do you have? You're a mid-sized manufacturer?
We're right around 350 employees in 5 countries.
That's great. And so today you're already using NetSuite and PLM 360. Maybe you can talk a little bit about your use of the product and the tighter integration you see here. How do you think that might impact what you're doing at Memjet?
Right. About 3 years ago, we began our implementation of NetSuite as a company that wanted to stay lean and mean. As an IT director, did not want to have a large IT department to support ERP software or a lot of applications in general. We also, consequently, we implemented PLM 360 to handle all of our bills of material for our products. So that not necessarily to manufacture them ourselves, to make sure that we own the bill of material, so that when changes came through from our design partners and our engineering teams, that we could pass that off to our contract manufacturers in Asia.
So you've been in the manufacturing world for a long time. You've used old line PLM systems on-premise, client server, now using PLM 360. How does it change your world?
Well, I think speed to market. So Memjet's all about fast. We're all about fast printing, and we're also all about fast time to market. When we look at implementing a project or a piece of software, Memjet is all about printing technology and not necessarily about ERP technology or PLM technology. Leveraging what you've built in the cloud helps us accelerate our business, get products out faster, and quite honestly keeps our focus on our products and not on the software.
That's awesome. Well, it's great to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us, giving us a little briefing on what you're doing. Martin, thanks very much. Well, great. Very exciting. There you see it. The next generation of manufacturing, new capabilities, new approaches, NetSuite for manufacturers released for the first time, and finally new partnerships, the Autodesk products, going from design to consumer and back again in a nice integrated cloud solution is really going to transform what's possible. It'll turn product distributors into manufacturers. The world of manufacturing is changing, and you need new systems, new cloud-based systems like this to enable it. And that closes it out for me. I really want to thank you today for letting me kick it off. The suite, we continue to win and scale. Thank you, Qualcomm, for joining us and helping us tell that story. Suite Cloud, great new things happening here, built for NetSuite. Check out the expo, look at the new products. Suite Commerce, Williams-Sonoma, the amazing things that are going on there are showing that multi-channel commerce, integrated retail and retail is not only the future, it's actually possible today in 3 months, not in 3 years. And then finally, Autodesk and NetSuite working together to transform how manufacturing is done in the cloud. Thank you very much. Make sure you make Evan's keynote tomorrow. He's got 1,000 more product things to talk about. But thank you very much, and we'll see you around the show.